Mallrats is probably the most 90s movie I've ever seen. The main premise is about two guys hanging out at the mall all day. Have you ever actually hung out at a mall? Like, you just gone when you didn't need to buy something or work? That is something that has been lost in the new millennium, and I think it needs to make a comeback. So in a way, it's dated, but in being dated, it is actually more enjoyable now than it was back when it came out. At least I'm guessing. Back in '95, when it was released, it bombed at the box office and reception was mixed. And I don't think that's fair. It seems way too many people were comparing it to Clerks. And while that's not entirely unwarranted, as it does have a lot of similar elements, I think it's still a really fun movie. If I were making YouTube videos back when YouTube first became a thing, I might have done a Norty's Forgotten Flicks on it. Two guys, Brody Bruce, played by Jason Lee, and T.S. Quint, played by Jeremy London, have both been dumped by their girlfriends. So they go to the mall to try and cheer themselves up, and there they try and win them back. Brody trying to get his girlfriend Renee from the asshole Ben Affleck, and Quint wants to keep his ex Brandy from going on a dating game show, even getting some help from Jay and Silent Bob. So yes, this movie is also about two guys, one a wisecracking douchebag and the other a pushover with issues in his love life, and it's a day in the life of them while many shenanigans happen around them. So yeah, it is a lot like Clerks, so I can't complain that much that people compared the two back then. I think how much you like this movie mostly depends on how much you like the hijinks that happen at the mall. And for me, I love them. I kind of love this movie. I love Jay and Silent Bob trying to destroy the stage. I love William and him trying to see the sailboat. I love when Brody tries to get his girlfriend back. Now, don't get me wrong, at the beginning of the movie, Brody is the biggest douchebag, but it makes me start to sympathize with him, not only from him growing as a person, but because the villains are so much worse. It's kind of like Damn Versus. Yeah, he's an ass, but the people he hates are just worse. One is Brandy's father, played by Michael Rooker, who just might be the worst human being on the planet. He tries to get the two arrested for nothing. And then there's Ben Affleck's character, who you think is a stand-up charming young man, but then it turns out he's just doing it for sex. The comedy this time is much more cartoony than Clerks, due to having a higher budget. The stuff with Jay and Silent Bob especially really is just a live-action cartoon, and I think it's pulled off pretty well, but the dialogue is still probably the funniest part. Just seeing everyone talk will create some kind of laugh. Jason Lee is great in this. He's funny, he can pull off the cocky attitude without being insufferable, and one of my favorite jokes is something that's way funnier today than back then. They mention how the game show gimmick is just trying to cater to 90s youth culture by pandering to them with 70s nostalgia, and now that we're in the 2010s, youth culture is pandered to with 90s nostalgia. It seems every decade is obsessed with pop culture from 20 years ago, and I cannot wait for 2000s nostalgia to start. The plot, like I said, is mostly just a series of sketches, but they are pretty well connected. Everything connects to the two trying to get their girlfriends back, and I like how it connects to Clerks. They take place in the same universe, and this actually happens the day before Clerks. I'm not sure why, but I do like how they mentioned at the beginning that T.S. accidentally caused Julie Dwyer's death. And if you've seen Clerks, you may remember Julie as the girl whose funeral Dante and Randall went to. It's small, it's not really needed, but it gives the movies a bit more character. There is one aspect of this movie that is dated in the bad way, and that is that it's a little bit sexist. Not like blatantly, unless you consider topless psychics to be blatant, but some parts feel a bit questionable. One part has Renee just flat out say that since she's a girl, she likes romantic things, and I'm not even sure why Brody and her started going out. She seems to hate a lot of the stuff he likes, and I doubt he was much of a charmer before, but in my opinion, the men actually get it worse. With the possible exception of T.S., every single guy is either an asshole or an idiot, or both. And they also are all obsessed with sex, even T.S. The best male character in it is Stan Lee, and no, I don't think that's a spoiler, he's on the poster, and if you've seen Captain Marvel, you know he's in this. This is one of the best Stan Lee cameos ever. In fact, for a while, I thought this probably was his best, until Into the Spider-Verse came along. The Stan Lee cameo and obsessions with comic books may be another reason why this movie should have been dated 5 years after it came out, but is more relevant now. And the moral Stan gives is a very important one that once again just fits today's society so well. Yes, it's okay to love geeky things, comics, movies, video games, just don't become so obsessed that you start acting like an asshole, and then start pushing away the people you care about.
Do yourself a favor, Brody. Don't wait, because all the money, all the women, even all the comic books in the world, they can't substitute for that one person.
I don't know, all the comics in the world?
Trust me, true believer. Well, Good talking to you.
So yeah, I think Mallrats is a really good movie and certainly Smith's most underrated. It doesn't quite have the same impact with me that Clerks has, but I still love watching it and I never get bored. It's a great time capsule that does have some good jokes that are even more hilarious today. I give it an 8 out of 10. I think people were a little too harsh on it when it came out. Give it a watch if you haven't, or if you didn't like it back in 1995 and haven't seen it since. I think this is a movie that got better with age. And that's all I got for Mallrats. Next up, Chasing Amy, which a lot of people consider Smith's best movie, or at least his most mature. What do I think? Well, find out tomorrow. See you then.